Welcome back. Got another week of the Crimson Collective podcast here. We're excited to talk some more stats here on Stat Connect. With me today again, I got Dustin Birch bringing the expertise on Pro Football Focus and individual player stats. I got Matt Patton with me here to talk stats, and of course, I got my own unique statistical approach to predicting these games and let you folks know what I think. Well, I guess maybe we should start by talking about last week a little bit. I think everybody's blood pressure went down. A couple of touchdowns. That's always always a good thing to see. I guess we'll start with you two guys. If you want to say, what did you think of the team last week? Did they solve your offensive concerns? Did they somewhat assuage your offensive concerns, or do you still have worries about the offense? And then I'll give my take on that question, and we'll just jump in and we will talk about the big game in Los Angeles coming up. Dustin, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think they solved my offensive concerns. I think what they did was sort of validate my opinion, which is that the offense is not as bad as it has looked, but they need a number one running back. So having JJ back was a big deal, and then putting Vaki in that sort of Eric Weddle spot was huge, right? 300 plus rushing yards last week is a big deal. But part of the reason the offense had looked so bad the weeks before is Oregon State's a fantastic defense and UCLA is a fantastic defense. Those are really good defenses. Even Florida is a very good defense. And so I'm still worried, right? We didn't have a ton of passing yards. Didn't have a very good passing day, but the offense did what it needed to do because the running game was working. And I have worn out all of the wood in my office, knocking on wood, but if the running backs can stay healthy, particularly JJ, that offense can produce enough yards and enough points for that defense to make any game winnable. So.
Okay. Can we just pause though and talk about your office? I don't know what's going on. I feel like you got like a cougar filter. Seems like we're all looking at Dustin through BYU goggles this week.
Yes. Unfortunately, I had to
have a hard time.
Yeah, I had to go to the office. Unlike before where I was recording from my home office, and for whatever reason, my office light is very blue, which has put me in a depressed mood. I'm going to make it really.
Talk about all the memorabilia that's up on that wall. Yeah, we know.
I'm going to make a very Joe. I'm going to make a very Joe prediction this week because I'm just feeling very blue. And no, I grew up in Cache Valley, so if anything, it's all my Aggie gear is hiding.
Well, after BYU's embarrassment, I think BYU's probably got that kind of background going on too after that horrendous loss to TCU. So
yeah, they I suspect they were feeling like 8 wins was a possibility, and now I think most of that fan base is thinking they'll be lucky to get to 6.
Yep. So yeah, I feel pretty similar. It was so exciting to see Utah healthy at the running back spot. Love seeing what Jaquindon Jackson could do in a full game. Love seeing Vaki. That's really exciting. Although a part of me has to say, I don't think that Cal was expecting Vaki at all. And I think that was the week where Vaki was able to kind of catch the other team by surprise. So I'm not sure we'll see that good of a week from Vaki again this season. I hope he proves me wrong, but I just fear that with some tape now and with the other teams being able to prepare for him, we may not see that type of a performance again out of him this season. So I liked what I saw, but I'm not sure you can count on it. I'm very concerned about the passing game. I think in this day's college football, if you don't have a quarterback that can give you more than 120, 130 yards passing, you're going to be in some trouble. I mean, we've seen that Iowa has kind of used that type of an offense for many years, and they've always had a good defense, but they can never quite get to the next level. So I like what I saw out of Utah, but I'm a little nervous for USC this week because if Caleb Williams gets going and if Utah can't hold them below, I feel like 28 points, I'm not sure that the Utah offense can keep up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought I liked what I saw from the team. I share those concerns about Vaki maybe not being able to continue to produce at that rate. I didn't think Quinton Jackson's his performance was solid, but it didn't have the really high efficiency that we've seen in the past with a 6+ yards per carry that you really need to see from the 75-25 run team that Utah's going to have to be to win football games. And yeah, Utah came into this game in the bottom fifth of the country in terms of yards per attempt. So per pass attempt yards. Barnes averaged 6.1 yards per throw, which actually brought their average down. So even though we overall feel good about the offense, it was the kind of day we're like, all right, this is moving a little bit. If you sort out those passing plays, despite what I would call a workmanlike performance from Barnes, he had QBR was 74.1, which means above average, not exceptional, but sort of took the points that were there, took the plays that were on the board, did what he needed to do. But just far, far, far from efficient and very different from other more game manager type quarterback performances that we've seen in the past. So you can look back to performances by, say, Tyler Huntley, where he would throw for 150 or 200 yards. But you go look at the box score and you realize he only threw 13 or 14 passes, and he was averaging close to 10 yards per pass with a lot of touchdowns and really winning the game with the few pass play opportunities that he was given. And that's not what is happening with Barnes. I mean, what we had last week was enough pass game to pull the safeties 3-4 yards off the line of scrimmage. And because we had this new wrinkle with Vaki, that turned out to be enough to move the ball downfield and score. But no explosiveness. Utah still, gosh, where are they? They just are not able to create those kinds of explosive plays. 129 pass plays over 20 yards, 84th in runs over 10 yards. They're just not getting the ball down the field in chunks. They're having to move it in bits and pieces, and they're going to have to score a lot faster than that against USC. So I don't know. I mean, I feel better. It matched my expectations that the performances from the last couple of weeks of Utah offense were probably some of the worst that we're going to see this season. But this is the Utah offense I expect moving forward, and I didn't see an offense that can match what USC and Caleb Williams are going to do next week. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the game next week and headed to LA and you? What would the pathway? I guess I feel like we're all probably thinking Utah's not going to win this game. So for you, what would your pathway be then to see Utah win? What do they got to do differently or make happen that's gonna be the difference?
Dustin, you want to take it first?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us probably have a similar thought here, right? USC is a bad defense. Pro Football Focus loves their defense. They have multiple players ranked in the 80s, and they have multiple players ranked in the 70s. Their individual player scores are probably better than 7 or 8 of the other Pac-12 teams. Utah's probably better. Oregon's probably better. Washington's probably better. That might be it. Maybe one other team and that's on defense. But as a team, they're terrible. I mean, I was looking at it in preparation for sitting down with you guys. Like, statistically, they're 90th in passing defense. They're 93rd in pass efficiency defense. They're 82nd in rushing defense. They're 92nd in total defense. They're 96th in scoring defense. And they're 78th or so in getting turnovers. Their defense as a team unit is bad. They're a bad defense. They're the worst defense Utah has faced, bar none. Cal was a better defense. Oregon State, UCLA, Florida were significantly better defenses. So the way to beat them, I think, also goes along with kind of how we all talk about, and I don't mean Utah fans, I mean all of college football talks about USC, is this year's USC team in particular feels kind of soft. Punch them in the mouth, get a lead, and make them feel like, oh, geez, this is going to go exactly like Notre Dame did last week, and they won't be able to pull themselves together. That USC defense will fall apart, and you'll be able to walk all over them. The problem with that strategy is that won't happen to Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams will go, all right, well, I guess I'm going to have to score more points, and he's going to try and score more points. And while Utah is very good on defense, we have a couple of sort of flaws that below the high level of the rest of the defense. Utah's defense is, top 10, top 15 in most statistics, but they give up a lot of long passes. And Caleb Williams is fantastic. Now, the one sort of caveat there too, though, is USC gives up a ton of sacks. They have allowed almost 3 sacks, 2.5 sacks a game. And Utah is one of the best in the country at getting to the quarterback. So if you knock Williams down 10 times, we'll see the Williams that we saw in the championship game last year, and Utah can win this game. But it's going to require turnovers, knocking him down, and punching them in the mouth.
That's exactly what I saw when I looked at it too. Spot on with the Utah's weakness to the long pass play. I got 69th nationally in 20+ yard pass plays, but it was that sacks allowed by USC that really stood out. I mean, I see when I'm looking for something to say, this is how they win the game. I see Jonah Ellis, who is on pace to challenge Elvis Dumerville's 20 sacks in a season record. Like, he's right there at 9 right now. That's on pace for 18. Pick up a couple good games or get him in the bowl game, and you can get to 20. And I see a USC team that just lets defensive players into the backfield and tells Caleb Williams to make it work. And if Utah can rack up the sacks, can slow Caleb Williams down. It's fascinating looking at their running statistics. They've got 3 great running backs, all over 5.7 yards per carry. And I expected Caleb Williams to have a similar yards per carry, but his yards per carry is bad, and it's because he's getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage a lot. Those just stack up. And he's definitely a running threat. You got to contain him. And so I'm really seeing Jonah Ellis as the difference maker. And then if somebody's going to kind of put the Utes on their back and win the game, I think it's going to be him picking up 4 or 5 sacks and just be an absolute nightmare for this team. And that's how you win. Do you have anything else, Matt, that you see?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've gone back and forth so much on this game, and for me, there's a couple big stats that concern me for Utah's sake, and that is Lincoln Riley has only lost 1 home game as a head coach when you throw out the 2020 season. Only 1, and that was in his first season back in 2017. He has not lost a single home game since 2017, and that really makes me nervous. I think that's tough. Now, I will say, of those 36 wins, only 2 came against a ranked opponent. So that's what's so hard. And again, with USC, you'd think, they're 7 games into the season, and I still don't really know what kind of team they really are, because they have faced some real cupcake defenses, especially pass defenses. And so I think some of their numbers are inflated. If the pressure can be there, then I think Utah's got a great opportunity here. But with that kind of a home field advantage, it just makes such a big difference. And Utah does not play as well on the road. And when you don't have, Cam Rising more than likely again this week, I just don't see him having enough firepower. I think that it's hard to say that at the same time, because USC, they've actually given up the most points over the last 3 games in all of FBS Power 5 teams. So they've given up like 43 points a game in those last 3 games. And so when that happens, it's like, well, Utah's got to score, right? I mean, this defense is so easy to score on, but I don't like it. I don't like the feel. USC revenge game. This is the first time I'm going to say it, but I think Utah falls 27-24 this week. I don't see him keeping up.
We lost that. We lost our fearless optimist here.
I know.
Oh,
The optimist was down.
Dustin, what about you? What's your score pick?
I disagree in one respect, which is if the score is 27-24, I think Utah wins. If the score is 27-24, I think Utah can come up with 27 points. If they can hold USC under 30, I think Utah probably wins the game. The problem is I don't think they'll be able to do that. I think that Caleb's easily going to get, a couple of long ones plus maybe a field goal plus a rushing touchdown or two, and they're going to be in the 30s at a minimum. And Utah's going to try and do their best to keep up and shorten the game. But I think if the total is below 50 or 51, I guess, you have a scenario where I think Utah wins. I think what's more likely, and my prediction is probably going to be that USC wins like 31-24, something like that.
Yeah. That was a good point. It's tough to say.
Yeah, so you brought up, Justin, the over-under. Yeah, you brought up that over-under, and I want to chat about that a little bit because my prediction method puts together a possible score, so it's actually a good predictor for over-under as well. The Vegas over-under on this is 56, which is with a -7 for USC, which is right in that neighborhood, but under 30 points per team. And then with Utah -7, I mean, you can see here there's a lot of red behind the line here. There's a lot more probability that Utah's going to lose this game rather than win it, somewhere in that 60-40 range, which is better than FBI. FBI is close to 70% chance for the Trojans to win this one. So I'm a little bit higher on the Utes than FBI is. I really like that -7 line for the Utes, though. I do think they're going to keep this game close. I think they're going to defend fiercely. I anticipate turnovers. I anticipate either really short fields or defensive scores. I think that's the kind of disruption that we're going to see from a Utah defense that knows they need to score for Utah to stay in this game. And so I'm anticipating a tighter game than maybe the sort of prevailing wisdom. But overall, I see the same thing everybody else does. I see a USC team that's probably going to score more than 30, and I see a Utah team that's probably not going to score 30. And so the score pick that I've got for this one is 33-28 USC. I'd be really tempted to take the Utes at home. That we're getting really close to that home field advantage flipping this result, although it kind of does it under the math. But I could see the home field advantage being essential, and this being sort of a late drive situation where we'll either be seeing if Caleb Williams can score from a down 2 USC team at the last minute, or if Bryson Barnes could take the ball and score in the last minute. And I can imagine Bryson Barnes doing that against this USC defense in Salt Lake City. Really hard for me to see that happening in the Trojans Stadium. So, yeah, I'm picking USC to win 33-28. This would be a big one, though. If Utah can come away with this, I think it would really change the trajectory of the team from sort of a competitive standpoint in terms of competing for a spot in that conference championship. But of course, I think we all expect or hope maybe to say at this point, Cam comes back at some point. So it's really worth thinking about if Utah can stay in the race and be in that championship game with Cam rising under center. That's a game they can win, even if they haven't been the best team in the conference all year. So there's a lot on the line here. Winning this game would be a real big deal, and it would make all the difference in the world because USC is going to knock off a lot of contenders and keep a lot of teams out of that conference championship game, I think.
And Joe, I did want to mention something because you said you expect a couple of turnovers in this game, and I do too. And I was, because USC's, like I said earlier, they're about 90th in total turnovers. But
sloppy. It's that diva approach.
Yeah.
You're right. All these great players, but they all want to be the star of every single play, and that means there's big gaps back there in the secondary and big opportunities for big plays for sure.
Well, not only that, but Williams, for all of the complaints that Utah fans have about Johnson not holding on to the ball, Nate Johnson's got 6 fumbles on the year. Williams has 9.
Wow.
The guy drops the ball.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah. So
Also,
luckily, his team falls on it more than the other team, but he has 9 fumbles on the year, plus his 4 turnovers. I mean, his 4 interceptions. So they turn the ball over a lot, and it's not just Williams, but if Ellis can set up camp in that backfield, he's going to knock that ball loose a couple of times.
That's a great point, and it's funny because those passing numbers look so rosy with a 24/4 TDI-INT ratio, but when you add those fumbles in, and statistically, fumbles are a 50-50 proposition, and sack fumbles are more like 70-30. So if the Trojans are recovering the majority of those sack fumbles, they're getting lucky. That's not skill. That's not eyes on. They're just getting lucky. And that luck can run out. And if that luck runs out against the Utes, it puts them in a really, really good shape to win this game. I think the other thing we got to say about Caleb Williams, though, is and versus Nate Johnson, is at least Nate Johnson isn't doing those Wendy's commercials. They make me crazy. so we got we can hopefully rely on our guys just focus on their pickup trucks and not make annoying fast food commercials, and maybe win this football game. Well, guys, I always appreciate the chance to chat with you. I think this is one to watch. I think we're all picking a good game. Pretty low odds of a blowout. I think Utah's going to stay in this one. Definitely worth the price of your ticket there to watch it on TV. And gosh, I hope Ute fans are coming away happy from this one. But we're 3 for 3 picking USC to win.
Well, I think the nice thing about this is it could really go either way. I mean, you're taking one of the best offenses against one of the best defenses, and then flipping it around the other way, where Utah's offense has been one of the worst so far, and then they'll take on one of the worst defenses as well. So there's really no way to know how this will go. It could go either way, and hopefully all of our guesses are wrong and the Utes come away with this one. So we'll see how it goes. Until then, thanks again for listening. It's good to have you on, and thanks for all of our co-hosts, and we'll see you again next week.